Welcome back. So some of you know that we have started something called Founder Fridays and also Startup Saturdays. And really it's an opportunity for founders and entrepreneurs to tell their stories in a way that hopefully gives them a greater platform for building their businesses and awareness about them as entrepreneurs and about what they're setting out to achieve. And also as a source of inspiration and insights for all of the rest of us entrepreneurs who can learn and benefit from the knowledge and experience of entrepreneurs who are sharing their stories. And Startup Saturdays is really focusing on startups that are very promising, that are exciting in a lot of different ways. That's Finn in the background, by the way. And Startup Saturdays is really geared towards something similar. So giving a bigger platform for startups to gain more awareness around who they are, what they're up to, because I think it's, once you reach unicorn status or you close your 200 million round, there's usually a fair bit of attention around you. But at the earlier stages, everything you can do to kind of get the word out is helpful to the business, generally speaking. So as part of Founder Fridays and Startup Saturdays, decided to focus today on one of my favorite startups, Audible Reality, and one of the founders, Matt, is going to be with us today to talk about his journey as an entrepreneur and also about Audible Reality and what it does, who it serves, where it's headed. And hopefully most of you will download the app and try it out and see what you think. But I don't want to give too much away. Instead, what we'll do is show you the show reel or the trailer for Audible Reality, and then dive into a conversation with Matt.
If you're like us, you can't live without music. Because music is more than just sound, it's an experience. Introducing Audible Reality, an exciting new way to listen, capture, and share your listening experience. Stream your music from your favorite service through the Audible Reality player. Any platform lets you choose what you want to hear, but only Audible Reality lets you choose how. Explore unlimited sonic possibilities. It's simple. Just tap to discover new vibes which sonically remix any song through Audible Reality's stunning immersive audio. There's even a smart vibe, custom created for you. Browse vibes that capture the moment and share them with your friends. It's time for music to go beyond stereo. Get Audible Reality for a better music experience no matter where the music takes you. Coming soon, artists will be creating their own vibes exclusively for Audible Reality. Download it for free today on any device. Audible Reality. Hear music differently.
Hey.
Hey, how are you, Matt?
I'm good. How are you?
I am doing really well. So you are where today?
I'm at home in Boston.
Yay.
Mm-hmm.
I am here in the Bay Area at home. And so hear music differently. We're definitely going to want to hear about that today. But before we get into that, and I thought I would just show you that I'm representing one of my favorite artists. And it's not just because we share the same name, even though I do appreciate him choosing my surname, because my Twitter blows up anytime he does anything, so I get all that free traffic. But I would love to hear some vibes by Childish, so that'll have to be something you and the team work on there. But before you tell us more about Audible Reality, I'd love to hear about you and your story and kind of really the early days of the inspiration behind Audible Reality.
Sure. Yeah. So first, thanks for having me on. It's a nice Sunday afternoon here in Boston, so good to join in. Yeah, I mean, look, I think the best way to describe what Audible Reality is and why I even started this thing is is just stemming from a passion of music and loving music. So as an early age, I mean, I'd been singing in plays at school and stuff like that, but I never really knew that I wanted to be a musician until high school, and learned how to play guitar and joined a band and started my own band, became a lead singer, and then, you know, did the artist thing. Like, I really gave everything I had to try to be a professional musician. I did pretty well, you know, before like the streaming era hit. And then right when it hit, I was so into CDs, I had no clue, you know, I was lost. It wasn't going to happen. I wasn't fresh enough to know, you know, what the world was going to become. But, you know, I think in all that, the one thing that really stuck in my head is that making music is such an amazing thing. And it's really hard to do. So I ended up getting a degree in audio technology. And the reason that I even did that essentially was just driven by music. I was studying engineering. I'm a, you know, an inventive mind. I love learning how things work. I love figuring out how to make them work. And long story short, I ended up getting a job as an undergrad student at American University while I was getting my degree in audio technology. And the reason that was the case is that school was, you know, it's a very famous public science, you know, like, public science, sorry, political science. I knew that didn't sound right. Very famous for that, right in the heart of DC. But they had a physics program that was just kind of neglected in the sense that there was an audio studio. They had studied waves and sound and acoustics and taught you how to record, but nobody really paid attention to it. And so for me, that was kind of my first, you know, challenge to try to build something that I actually had my hands on. So as a student, I got in, I started making better studio adjustments. I started learning about sound. I was, you know, ended up teaching students how to make recordings and record themselves. And over a course of about 10 to 12 years, I stayed on. I created one of the best schools in the United States for audio technology. In fact, in 2011, we were ranked the #1 audio technology school. A guy that was there with me the whole time, he and I built the school up from about 8 students to 160. We created a master's program. We had a $2 million Walter Stork studio. I'm sorry, John Stork studio. You know, I think what we found in all that is that there's a lot of interest to make music. There's a lot of interest to learn how sound works and how you can create with technology to create music in new ways. And I think there's a huge challenge in understanding how to even create and record music that most people just don't even realize exists, you know? So if I told someone who's never ever seen a recording console or never seen an EQ before, like, yeah, all you got to do is just hit record and get in there and you'll be fine. You know, reality of that is it's not true at all. I mean, it takes a lot of skill, a lot of science to really understand how to make music sound amazing and to really capture what you hear in reality. And so fast forward, when I left American, I was trying to get another degree, a PhD. I wanted to go teach somewhere else and do that all again. And I found myself in McGill in Montreal. And McGill is one of the only places in the world that has a sound recording PhD. And it's led by industry leaders like George Massenburg, Richard King, Wisław Waszczak. You know, these guys have unlimited Grammys. You know, they have impacted the audio industry like crazy. George Massenburg, I mean, if you don't know him, he's got a studio in Blackbird, you know, that he created, Blackbird Studio in Nashville. So just total legends that know what they're doing, and people respect that in many ways. So my world kind of shifted from this like make yourself kind of program and building that up to like, these are the masters and this is how we think about sound on a super pro level. And so at McGill, everything just kind of came together. All this interest I had over the years of teaching students and trying to understand like how to teach such a technical view of science and pare it down to the super subjective, you know, just fun and engaging music experience. You know, how can you make that so simple that anybody can just jump in and understand how to make music? And luckily enough at McGill, that's really what the focus was. We had amazing 3D audio studios that, you know, I'd never seen in my lifetime. places that have like 60 speakers put up in a room, 30 speakers in a hemisphere that makes you feel like you're fully immersed in sound. And then pairing that, I was a research student, an early researcher at Lander when they first started in Montreal. So they were trying to figure out how someone like myself would take a sound or a song and then master it or just make it better. In fact, at first they were trying to do multi-channel mixing. So could you take a drum and a vocal and bass and put them all together and make them sound, appropriate in a mix? So to me, I just thought these two worlds are incredible. This is not just about teaching anymore. It's not just about making music. This is about like taking this amazing, amazing experiential technology and then taking this intelligence that we can train and try to pair the two together. And what could I build with that? And so that's how Audible Reality was born. I would say I was more interested in the 3D audio side of things at that time than I was in AI. But what I liked about the AI audio production, or semantic audio is what it's really called, is that it could essentially simplify a task, right? If I tell you to jump in and make a change to a song based on the EQ, if you have no clue what an equalizer is, you have no clue where to start, right? But even if you do, you might want to fumble around and figure out which equalizer is the best for you. And then you need to figure out what part of the sound you need to adjust. Well, AI in many ways can do that. It may not do it as well as a human, but it can at least like get you halfway there. And so I thought that was a brilliant, brilliant tool at that time for 3D audio, because 3D audio, on the other hand, is like someone with 20 years professional experience like myself sitting in a 3D audio mixing room. It would take about 3 weeks to make one mix, where you're normally doing the mix in like 4 hours. So this crazy experience, bring it to the world, if you will. However, it's not going to happen because you need this $2 million studio, all these speakers, you need 20 years of experience. And, how do you expect anybody ever to have that? Well, if you could put AI with that, you've got a home run. And so that was really what kickstarted this company was, let's just simplify this idea. We know that if we can sit in a room with a ton of speakers and get it up to a certain position, it sounds amazing. It's just transportive. It sounds like nothing you've ever experienced in a studio, and it sounds almost like it's real life. So then could we figure out how to extract that somehow and use an AI to get us to that point a little faster? Maybe it doesn't require a professional to sit in there for 3 weeks. Maybe you could even just get one button and push one button and make something experiential happen. And so that's how we landed with Audible Reality. And I'll get into what we do, but we are a one button approach to making an experiential audio production happen at the push of your fingertips.
So that is highly specialized experience that I agree. I think not many people have, and it's costly to access a lot of the times. So for, artists who are incredibly talented at their craft, being able to partner with amazing producers and sound engineers really kind of brings to life, their vision of their sound and their music. And so I'm curious from a consumer standpoint, what is Audible Reality offering that's unique in the marketplace? And then I would love to hear more about what it offers, artists and producers and others. But so if consumers are ready to download Audible Reality app today, what is it that they would get? Why should they download it?
Yeah, so stemming back to what I learned there, and this was about 2014 when I first moved up to Montreal. At that time, research was coming out of Queen Mary University in London and or England. I'm not sure if it's in London, but the point was we were finally getting to a point where it was possible to simplify some audio tasks. What's amazing about that is that you can now give access to consumers to get into professional audio. And if you take a step back just a couple of years before that, I was having students come into my first year recording classes, not even recording, they weren't even in the studio, just first year show up at audio tech class. And they would show me mixes that would just like blow me away. You know, it's like you're 18 years old. How did you do that? You know, like what tools did you have? And that was kind of the like crest, you know, of the rise of technology and the ease of making things happen. Was everybody had Logic on their computer, right? Everybody had GarageBand. They had some way to play with music, and they had these quick samples to put together, and they had, you know, easy one-touch tools. So I love that aspect of just making music. It's not about whether it's professional or not. It's just about, can you make music and have fun? Can you experience something and notice the difference? Is it engaging to you or not? And so with a consumer level product from Audible Reality, our whole intention was exactly to solve those three things. Can I engage you? Can I make it experiential? And can I make it fun? Right? And so with Audible Reality, what you should expect is, this isn't about whether or not this is the best mix for you or not. It's about you discovering which the best mix is, right? We want to give you options. We want to give you choice as a listener to decide, you know what, I want to listen to Taylor Swift, but I want to make her sound totally crazy. I want to like put a Childish Gambino, you know, effect on that, or Willie Nelson, right? You know, like, can we get some kind of that sonic character from those artists and work with other sounds and create something brand new? Or could it just be something that just brightens up the sound for that user and that feels better? So the reason that we use 3D audio is because it is such an experiential change to sound. You can't really do this with stereo. You can't really do it with like equalizers and compression. Most people don't notice the differences in that. And if they do, it's really just a volume change. But with 3D audio, what you can benefit from is expansion and externalization. So these are things that our brain takes in every day. We don't realize we are, you know, noticing all this stuff. But you think about an airplane flying overhead or the car that passed by you. You know, those things are big events, you know, and they give us cues about our life and about the experience we're in. So if you can take that concept and bring it into music, now you can have things that feel much bigger and much taller, maybe even behind you. You can brighten up different spots of the mix where a vocal somehow stands out where it never did before, or drums, you can hear like the sizzle on the hi-hat that just showed an extra beat that you never heard. And so that for us is the whole goal for consumers and our listeners, is to just jump in the app, use the technology that we created, and just flip through vibes until you land on something that just makes it for you.
So you know already that I love the app. So
thank you.
For those who, yeah, the first time I think I tried it was at South by in Austin a couple years ago now, and I think you're right in terms of the immersive aspects. It's a totally different experience when, and it's hard to describe to people, right? But it's a totally different experience when you feel completely immersed. Like I remember hearing, like tracing the sound go from this side all the way back, and it felt like it was like going back here and then hearing it over here. And it's like hard to explain that to, you know, to people who haven't, you know, experienced it before, but it's such a cool experience.
Yeah.
And then also just to, like you say, hear different versions of the same track and like in so many different ways, and you know, and depending on your mood or just, you know, whatever, I think it's, you know, having all these different ways to experience it is incredible. So so for the benefit of those who have not tried it yet, so they can download it, you know, for Android or iPhone. When they download it, they can either create vibes and they can listen to vibes, or tell us how that works once they've said, okay, I'm going to check it out and I'm going to download it.
Yeah. So today, I mean, we just launched August 31st. So it's been an incredible first month for us. Lots of support. We were in Forbes, Variety, American Songwriter. Teddy Riley, one of my, you know, just all-time favorite producers, is on our artist board. You know, like it's a dream come true of how good this thing is working and how much fans love it. So I'm super happy about that. If you want to jump in today, just remember we're at the baby steps here. Like we just kicked off. So you can get in and you can hear pre-made vibes from our team. You can also hear pre-made vibes from the artists that we have already using Audible Reality. So we've partnered with about 12 to 15 artists at this point. Check our website just to see who, but there's some really great names on the app, creating experiences for you to jump in and listen differently. What we want to do now is to start growing that experience for anybody. So we are going to be announcing Audible Reality PRO, which is a platform that will allow you to create vibes. And this is really where our business is focused. Is we want to create a product for consumers that they love and can engage with in different ways around music. But the main point of our business is to help artists. And we believe that we can help consumers by helping artists. Everybody's going to have a win in this. So coming up in the next couple months is our release of Audible Reality Pro, where for a subscription model, you can jump in at a very low cost per month, get access to the tools to make vibes, get access to an online dashboard where you can manage them and create even pricing for them so you can actually monetize vibes. And you get analytics back on how people listen to your vibes, whether or not they were successful, whether they engaged longer. So there's an amazing ecosystem of artist services coming. And that's the point at which anybody can jump in and start making vibes. And then later down the road, we are definitely considering putting it all in the app, making all kinds of different services available in the app. And we really think that this thing could grow into, the popularity of something like TikTok or Instagram, in the sense that it's there, it's in front of you. It's a place to personalize and share your experiences through music with your friends.
So you're basically enabling a novice music lover to become a pro producer with really advanced AI tools.
Yeah, and 3D audio.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
You mentioned, some pretty great press coverage that you've got so far, and I believe it was maybe the Forbes article that described Audible Reality as being kind of what Instagram does for photos, Audible Reality does for music. Do you think that's a kind of fair comparison? You're talking about like getting into all these different vibes, and maybe those are similar to like presets. Do you think that's a good analogy for people to kind of really grasp it if they haven't tried it?
Yeah, and that's exactly how we want you to think of it. It was deliberate in the design of why we chose that user experience. It was in my early days of developing this, making a tool that would be easy just to flip on and off. And as we started to demo that, like in the early days of being a startup, when you have no clue what the thing's going to become, you just know you got people hooked by this amazing tech, right? So people are going, "Oh my God, that's amazing! You got to do some of this." So literally, I had created like a very bare bones native laptop app that you just pushed a button and you heard stereo and you heard this one 3D thing. And that's where the whole concept really came up with, is like, okay, if people are reacting to just a push of a button here, why don't we just give them a whole bunch of pushes, just put them in the app and let them play around. And so obviously an Instagram filter or a Snap filter, any of those, current, social media apps, it's just a natural flow to put a carousel of filters together. So yeah, I mean, it's exciting that someone, like Forbes to call us out and say, this is the Instagram, of music in that sense. That's exactly what we want. We want you to feel as if this is another part of your life in terms of personalization and really diving into the experiences in a way that you feel like you're a pro. I mean, we can take professional pictures on our phone at a push of a button. Why can't we jump into music like a pro?
Yeah, I love that. And you mentioned Teddy Riley being on the advisory board and being a big advocate of the company. For people who don't know who Teddy Riley is, can you tell us a little bit about him and the nature of the relationship?
Yeah, I mean, so I grew up in the late 80s, early 90s. Every CD my brother had, I was too young to own CDs, but every CD that he had, like when they first, started hitting commercial market, were all produced by Teddy, and so it's funny to come around, close to 30 years later and see, oh my gosh, this is pretty cool. Like the guy I grew up listening to, kind of subconsciously is now joining on and helping us grow this thing. So first off, if you have never heard of Teddy, listen to Michael Jackson, listen to Jay-Z, listen to Lady Gaga, listen to Britney Spears, listen to Blackstreet, you know, Pharrell. Like, these are guys that either he worked with, guys and girls that he worked with, or he inspired, or, you know, he's a legend, right? New Jack Swing was the genre that he was essentially, you know, the creator, co-creator, some say, of, you know. So his whole background in terms of production has just been creating music in a different way, in a very engaging way. And that's what we love about working with him. And he and I hit it off right from the start. You know, it's just two audio guys, you know, super passionate, talking about what it is that we love about music. And it was amazing to hear how much he loved using early 3D audio technology in his mixes back in the 80s and 90s. You know, where quad had come in, if anybody knows what quad is, and, you know, even in stereo mixes like the Remember the Time and Jam on the Dangerous album by Michael Jackson. There's a lot of stuff going on that he's pushing the limits of stereo. So to come into a world now where we got a tool just as easy to jump in with 3D audio, and at a very high level, by the way, it's quite good. So you know, it becomes a pro tool just as much as it is a consumer tool. And I think he just, you know, I don't want to speak for him, but I think he's just pumped up about the idea of being able to take music to a new height.
And so to take music to a new height, you're launching Audible Reality Pro. And
Right.
if I understand correctly, you're launching that as a SaaS-based service for artists, but there's also the potential to work with lots of others. You mentioned consumers could create their own vibes and manage potentially a music career because they can sell those vibes. So can you tell us a little bit more about Audible Reality Pro and helping artists and other creators create the vibes, but also, you know, is it purely that they offer them for sale? Is it for marketing? Can you tell us a little bit more about the plans for Audible Reality Pro?
Sure. So I'll just preface like what it is and how you get involved, and we should talk about why it does exist. So it'll start out at $8 a month. It's a subscription like Splice or Lander or CD Baby or any other tool that you have out there as an artist to really just grow your career. And the benefit of what we're doing is we are saying a song is never finished. And the reason it's never finished is because Audible Reality has what's called interactive mastering. It's the first process in history to let you actually mix a song and then go back into the app while you're listening to the same exact song that's been published and pull up all the stuff that you just did in the mix. So you basically have the studio access to the song. It's not stems. It's not a new format. It's the same old stereo that you always put out. But on top of that stereo, we encode our 3D audio processes. So that stereo now becomes virtual 3D. And all the parameters that you set during the mixing or the mastering process are recallable. So you can come back into that app, listen to the song that's been created with vibes, and then dial in new settings for the vibes, or just recall what you had from the studio and let anybody jump in and start playing with it. So that's the first really, really inventive step here in what we're doing, is to do that on a mobile platform with a very heavy, processing heavy kind of 3D audio. That's a hard thing to achieve. So the fact that we've got that and now we're giving that access to anybody is a huge change to the way that we're going to experience music. On top of that, you don't need to just make a vibe for a song. So it's not like, okay, I just produced this new song, I'm going to make a vibe for that, and that's going to be the sound. You can make as many vibes as you want for any song, and you can just make vibes just in general. You know, maybe I'm a really renowned producer for my style, like Teddy Riley, right? Another artist we have is DJ Battlecat. You know, that guy is amazing. His sound is amazing. It's a time, it's an era, it's a genre, it's a culture. So for DJ Battlecat just to have a vibe, and then for people to listen through that, it's an experience in itself. So could you put a DJ Battlecat vibe on Britney Spears, you know, like or whatever, you know, on Halsey? Could you bring the the past to the future. I think there's some really amazing things to discover. And so what we want to do is to give you access into that world. So that's why we essentially have AR Pro. It's just for the people who really feel like they want to have a little bit more control. They can come in and they can start creating. Now, during that whole process, once you jump in, you'll, based on the tier that you subscribe to, you'll either have the opportunity to just launch them out for free and let people play around with them, or actually monetize them. So for our artists that are struggling to make money on streaming, which is pretty much 97% of all artists that are on streaming, this is a platform where you can directly monetize to your fans. Do you have a new album coming out? Are you putting out a new campaign? Is there marketing behind you? Whatever it is, you can put a vibe out for that and let your fans join in on an exclusive experience. And in a time right now where artists are really hurting, fans are also really supporting them. So, put a number on the vibe. Can you get your fans to support you through that? Yeah, I think you can, and we know you can. So it's just a great platform. We're really, obviously, you can tell I'm excited, but we're really pumped up about what it's going to bring to the music industry in the years to come.
And I think you have, even though you just launched at the end of August, you've already seen streaming consumption double. Is that right? In terms of certain tracks and artists that have new vibes associated with the track. So people are listening to the same track, but in lots of different ways. So basically the artist gets bigger payouts if the streaming consumption increases. Is that right? Can you tell us?
Right. So, artists on average, this number fluctuates however you look at it, but on average, they're looking at like 0.0038 cents or so, right, per stream. So you need to get to 100,000 streams to start making $100, $300 or so. And that's a huge challenge for people. So one of the just inherent benefits of Audible Reality is it's a discovery platform. It's a differentiator from the existing DSPs out there, the streaming services. So anytime someone jumps into our app, they're listening to the same stream, but from wherever they're listening to. So I didn't say this before, but we support Spotify Premium Playback. We're about to launch a new streaming service that'll allow any free listeners to come into the platform. And then we have a couple more behind that we'll be releasing through the course of this year. So the idea is that you can listen to all your favorite music in Audible Reality. And then as consumers do that, they're driving streams for the artist just like they normally would. But then when you apply vibes, what's happening is people are listening to the song again. They're jumping in actually twice on average for every song that they listen to. And the reason that exists is because you have the regular song and now you have a vibe on top of it. And people are saying, wow, I want to go back and listen to that again. And in fact, we have 2.3 vibes per song on average right now that people are listening through. So highly engaging platform. And then on top of that, you have the direct monetization strategy. So, do you want to put this out as a part of an album release? Do you want to put it out as part of a tour? Hopefully we get those back soon. Is there some nonprofit that you want to support? It's up to you. This is a marketplace for you. So just really, really excited to see what happens here.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think new revenue streams, as the future of live is somewhat uncertain, and a lot of it is, moving to digital. And, although, lockdown in a lot of areas is lightening up, I think there's still a lot of, caution around live. So any new income streams or any ways to amplify existing revenue streams for artists is really important. And in the same way the gig economy has worked in lots of other sectors, I think it's a great opportunity for consumers to, go in and get creative, but also, if they're good at it, to potentially create a new income stream.
Yeah, for sure. So right now, if you jump in the app, it's still, we're still under our early release free umbrella, right? You can jump in and hear Teddy Riley vibes, and you can hear Bones UK, which is an awesome Grammy nominated rock band, and we kind of have all over all the different genres, and we'll continue to do that. So I think the cool thing here for the fall of 2020 is that we're just opening this up. We're letting people jump in, experience what we're building right now. Let's just know there's a lot coming behind the scenes, and AR Pro will really be the thing that knocks this open. I would say if you have the chance, put on some headphones, download the Audible Reality app, and just pull up your favorite tracks and just start listening. It's really immersive and will suck you in.
And so people should listen with headphones.
Yeah, 3D audio, people will claim that 3D audio works in many different places. Being the guy who's nearly finished my PhD in 3D audio, and it was very much focused on this, I would tell you it's almost impossible to make 3D audio happen on just like stereo speakers and sound bars and whatever. I mean, plenty of good products out there are trying to emulate that, but it's nothing like controlling your ears 100%. So the 3D audio, first off, is trying to describe the fact that there's another dimension to sound, right? In stereo, you sit between two speakers, and they give you a sense of width and a sense of depth. So either volume gives you depth, or maybe reverb, echo gives you some depth. 3D audio is the idea that now you have height. So you have the ability to, go out wide, go front and back, and go up and down. The way that you actually make 3D audio happen through software, through any platform, through two channels, is by giving the user binaural cues. So binaural is just like, the two eyes that you have, you see binocular, right? So now I have binaural, I have two ears picking up signals at different points in time, comparing those and creating a picture of this kind of binaural environment that I'm in. So what we do is to present 3D audio through a binaural process in your headphones. We also do it for speakers and for cars and for anything that you listen to. But no doubt, I think anybody who does 3D audio will tell you the same thing. If you have headphones, that is the best experience you could possibly have, because you're in total control of those two ears. Once you start to open it up on, like loudspeakers or in cars, you still have those binaural cues, and they still work really well depending on the technology. And you still have a great time, and vibes still work there. So definitely try it all over the place. But I would say the best way to jump in is definitely just throw on your headphones, download the app, and start playing around. Yeah.
So as a startup, can you tell us a little bit about your journey in terms of raising funds, kind of where you've come from and where you're headed? And also, it sounds like you're really focused on the launch of Audible Reality Pro, and I'm excited for that launch as well. I want to try making some stuff and see how it sounds, and I know my son does too. He's always used GarageBand, but so what can you tell us about what your experience has been in fundraising, and how you're approaching really building this up to a really big business? Because it sounds like you're starting with Vibes and moving into Audible Reality Pro, and then it sounds like you've got a lot of plans in terms of artist services and data insights for creators. So that sounds like a lot of stuff that you want to build, and a lot of people that you might need to help you build that. So what kinds of approaches are you taking, or what are you thinking about in terms of fundraising and product roadmap going forward?
Yeah, great question. So I will say that I'm the luckiest man in the world to have the team that I have. Somehow, I guess it's for the love of music, but somehow I've been surrounded by just amazing talent, amazing people, and we all have the same dream. So first off, I want to give props out to that and to my team. With that said, it's definitely made raising money easier with a really great team. I think that's probably the most important thing in all of this is, and plenty of investors say that they invest in people. we're doing this for a reason. Like, this isn't just a business model, right? And in fact, one of the biggest struggles in Audible Reality's history was trying to figure out what the business model was, right? We had this great 3D audio and not really sure what to do with it. So, here we are today where we've already done our pre-seed. We did an extension to the pre-seed. And now we're out raising our seed, and we've created Audible Reality. We've created Audible Reality Pro. Our goal this year is to reach 1 million users on Audible Reality and 10,000 artists in Audible Reality Pro. I think we'll get there before our goal. And, as far as raising money, what we're really trying to do is to grow this platform. We have already built the software. The products are there. I mean, they're, in terms of what we wanted to hit the market with, they're like 150% there, right? We've extended our goal far past what we needed to. But now what we want to develop is to create a true social platform for this, right? Something we didn't talk about at all on just the business approach is that Audible Reality's long-term vision here is that we believe we can create a automated profile to help you enhance music in a way that is engaging no matter where you listen, no matter what you're listening to. So when I was just talking about how 3D audio is best on headphones and it's also good in cars, right? So if you jump in a car and then you go home and you're watching on your television and you're listening to the same content, there's differences in that playback system, and maybe there's differences in your mood or whatever you're listening to. So we believe that we can predict a highly engaging audio format just for that experience. Can we make it so that you don't need to go buy special hardware anymore? We just use Audible Reality Pro, and as long as Audible Reality Pro is in your platform, you now have the best experience possible through our AI-driven 3D audio. So to get to that level, that's where we're raising money. Is we need to get the users, we need to get the partnerships, and we also need to develop the app to a successful enough product where we can gather the data we need from the audio content that we're looking at, and to build an AI that would automatically, create a better experience no matter what the conditions are. So I don't want to go too much into how we actually do that, but I would just say it's all just based on how you listen to music, right? There's nothing crazy about what we're trying to learn from you, other than just, did you like the song, and how did our technology work, and what's all the underlying stuff that's happening during that session.
And you mentioned partnerships, and I know you've already worked with some pretty big companies that are hard for a lot of early stage startups to get the attention of, and you've already done that. And you've also, I think, following some of the amazing PR coverage that you've had in Forbes and Variety and others, you've had some big brands reach out to you. And normally early stage startups spend, days, weeks, months, years, pitching into these big brands, trying to get, even an email response. So can you share a little bit about who you've worked with, or, what you're thinking about in terms of partnerships going forward?
Yeah,
all these guys might be watching or listening. So,
well, I want to say I don't want to say anything that's confidential at the moment, but I'll say this: we are working with the biggest streaming services out there. Many of them. We're working with the biggest OEMs, or the mobile manufacturers and the headphone manufacturers, and we're definitely working with the music labels and the artists and management companies behind that. So I think if you dig in a little deeper to see what's happening, like right now we've got Spotify in the app. We've got a couple more services directly following that, and we're growing that throughout the year to bring on even more. We have an upcoming release that's going to see upwards of 50,000 downloads just from that one release, and about 4 million views or so. So we've got some incredible traction at the moment, and I couldn't be more proud of how we got there. We slugged it out for 2-3 years. We no doubt had no clue what we were doing at the beginning, but I think what's driven this whole thing is just the belief that this is something that artists need, right? This is something that a consumer needs to have. Audio is so lame. It's just stereo. It's the same old thing. It's been that way for like 60 years. Let's do something else, right? And I think AI and 3D audio, those are definite buzzwords now. But when we started, nobody even knew what 3D audio was. And I'm going into meetings with investors, teaching them the science about how we hear. So we're at a point in the history of making music and consuming music where things have just been totally flipped upside down. Consumers have the most control they've ever had. Artists have the most access to all they need to have. And like nobody has a major label deal anymore, right? It's mostly just independents, and then the top tier have the major label deals. So can we create a platform where artists can jump in no matter what level they are and engage with the fans? And likewise, can the fans give feedback back to the artist directly like they've never been able to do before? So I think in general, like just where we're at today and the partnerships we have, it's all pointing to that. People are starting to say, wow, you know what? It is time for audio to make a change. And that's why we're seeing the partnerships and the outreach that we have been lucky to see.
Well, congrats, because, as a serial entrepreneur, I know how challenging it is to get to this stage. And it's also at a really exciting stage because you're starting to see, a lot of product market fit validation from artists and from consumers and partners. And, sometimes you can get it from one of those, but you're seeing it across the board. So, well done, and kudos to you and the team for, getting on the stage. So yeah, any advice or words of encouragement for other entrepreneurs who are working maybe specifically on technology-based businesses and are still at the early stages?
Well, there's a lot of advice I could give, because first off, this is my first startup. I mean, I would say that the American University Audio Tech program was definitely a startup in many ways, but it was supported by a university, right? You're not out there, hoping you've got a paycheck tomorrow or your whole team. So if anything, get into an incubator or an accelerator. I think that was the thing that really changed the trajectory of this company and how successful we could be and hopefully will be. The core knowledge an accelerator can give you, and of course the networking, it just throws you into being an entrepreneur immediately, and understanding all the differences about every day that come up in your tech startup life, whether that's just HR or actually doing meetings or working on your pitch or your business model. So I have to give a lot of support to Centech in Montreal. When we started the company, they were big. The Dobson Center at McGill, Creative Destruction Lab out of Toronto, and these are all amazing Canadian institutions now that are really helping tech companies. And as an American coming into Canada, I just felt like, wow, this is incredible. Like they just want me to succeed. So that's definitely probably the most important thing that you could do, if nothing else, is just get involved with an accelerator.
That sounds great. And build a great team around you, eh?
Yeah, well, that too.
No, you touched on that earlier, and I think that's good, because I think so much focus is on founders, as it should be, but being able to get people to trust in you and to believe in the vision when it's still unproven is a really, I think, critical aspect of understanding the leadership capabilities of a founder, and then looking at building out that skill set around you in a very diverse way. I think just gets your kind of ducks in the row for taking it to the next stage. So, well, thank you for sharing your story today. And the best way for partners or investors to reach you is via email.
Yeah, so you can either reach us directly on Audible Reality's site. There's a contact page there. If you want to reach out, LinkedIn, I'm pretty active on LinkedIn. So I'm Matt Boerum on LinkedIn, pretty easy to find. And then, send send all your questions, your interest our way. We love it. We're excited right now, and we love the excitement we're getting back. And so hope to see you download the app, reach out, help us grow this thing.
Great. And so artists, producers, consumers can reach you that way as well, yeah?
Yep, same thing. And I also want to promote right now that if you go to audiblereality.com today, there's an artist page. You can also go, it's a subdomain, artist.audiblereality.com. You can sign up for Audible Reality Pro as a pre-release, and you'll get 2 months free of the service. We intend to launch that sometime in November. Just got a month left, really. So get on it if you want 2 months free.
Great.
Yeah.
I'm gonna encourage people to do that as well, and hopefully we'll see some continued great numbers coming from your growth. So, thanks for today.
Yeah, thank you, Angel. Take care.